about the case or about topics or things that we want to know about or we'd like to talk. We have an amazing panel here. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself, and once they're introduced, will someone ask us a question and we'll get things started.
Hi, I'm Phillip Spaeth, and I read the role of Blankenhorn. I'm Charles Socarides, I was Dr. Segura.
I'm Randy Harrison, I read Wolfson.
My name is Hunter Bell Cooper.
I'm Rory O'Malley, and I read Boies.
I'm Ben Pelteson, Come See Angels in America. I'm Lewis. I'm also, in my spare time, the National Outreach Director for Broadway Impact.
I'm Connie, Executive Director of Broadway Impact.
You have a program. Well, for those of you who didn't get a chance to read the program, just to give you the shortest, the American Foundation for Equal Rights is the sole organization that's funding and has hired Theodore Olsen and David Boies to fight on behalf of to fight against the constitutionality of Proposition 8. And as you heard, we're doing very well, and this is hopefully going to push on to the Supreme Court of the United States. And we're hoping the next year or so, year and a half, 2 years, who knows. But Broadway Impact was, like I said before, Rory and Jenny and I started it in our apartment in New York City when Proposition 8 passed and Obama was elected, and we were kind of, well, you could tell people.
Oh, it was, 2008, that November 4th or whatever it was, that excitement of Obama being elected, and we had volunteered, and the defeat of Proposition 8 happening, and realized that if you didn't take action to make something happen, nothing will happen. So we started to reach out to our friends from the theater community in New York and started forming Broadway Impact, which really is just getting the theater community at Broadway and now in theater communities across the country involved in the fight for marriage equality. And it's our latest way of doing that, bringing the fight to the stage.
I don't know if any of you here are as terrified as I am of ticking clock. I just want to encourage you, if you pass a loved one nearby, I would grab their hand. If you want to turn that off, that would be just fine. Does anyone have a question? I would love to. Yes, please, in the back.
I wonder, I just don't know if you know the answer to this question, but it's really easy to understand that the dialogue that happens on stage or during the case is clearly from the trial. But what about all the other moments that happen, like between the family, the lesbian couple, and their children? Do you know whether he wrote that himself or whether?
I think that's part of what's interesting about this too, is you kind of can't believe, you laugh at the response. You laugh at a moment like it's in the internet. And part of it, what I love about this is we laugh and it's absolutely frightening too. And it's why the exposure of this is so crucial and important, because it has a real domino effect on it. And it's why some of that needs to be heard, because I'll speak for myself, I hear that I'm like, those arguments are insane. And one of my favorite lines in Lance's play is, he says, the courtroom is a lonely place to lie, the witness stand is a lonely place to lie, and it's so true. All the nonsense and the commercials and kind of the scare tactics melt away. When you get to these facts, you're left with Dr. Tam and Blankenhorn, God bless it.
Which is also an important, Adam O'Hafer, who's the executive director of the American Foundation for Equal Rights, always asks us to reiterate with the Talkback audiences that point that you can pay, you can donate to super PACs and pay millions of dollars and donate to an organization that can then buy commercials and put those commercials on television and inject the fear and the worry and protect children. People, besides the fact that no majority should ever vote on a minority's rights. Beyond that, let's leave that. Leaving that aside for a second, you can't, it's not, we are not given the information. You know, you haven't seen the trial. You have just seen pamphlets and commercials bought and paid for.
Well, there's a reason why this side fought so hard to keep them, keep it from being revealed. It's not an accident. There's a reason, because they know.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. We had a hand over here at that one.
It's my understanding that you have presented this in more than 100 theaters. And clearly...
We're at 30, this is our 30th. We're excited, but we're going to 150 total over the next year.
Oh, okay. My question has to do with the fact that it's obvious that you have a supportive audience here in Philadelphia. Have you encountered an opposing position in other cities?
Luckily, it's usually beautiful crowds like you. And I will say, at our first, do you want to comment what that woman said about the choir at our Ann Arbor? Do you remember what she was saying? Like, it's similar, like
preaching to the
choir.
choir.
We're sort of preaching to the choir. I think it was sort of, were you with that one? You were not.
No, I don't remember what happened, but I think the point is, you know, if we're preaching to the choir needs to sing louder. The point is,
needs to know what to sing. You know, that's always what having a theater organization that's talking about marriage equality. You know, I every time I read this play or hear it out loud, I am reminded what my constitutional right is as a gay American. That this is not just like something that feels good or feels right. This is something that's already there. It's in the Constitution, and this script and this fight for marriage in this courtroom has given me the tools to discuss it with my friends and my family in a whole different way. And that has got our choir singing lots of different things.
To touch on we were in North Carolina tomorrow, they're voting in North Carolina to either pass or not pass the constitutional amendment to ban not just gay marriage, but domestic partnerships and all kinds of legal things that I'm hopeful, but I'm prepared for reality tomorrow, whatever's going to happen. But it's very possible that tomorrow they'll vote for the amendment, and this case is going to be most important because there will be no turning unless it's going to take a lot of money to redo. But while we were in North Carolina, we were in a small town in North Carolina, and they had a panel afterwards. And I was on a panel with two other against the amendment, and then two people that were for. And some of the things that I've read them, I've seen them on the internet. But I could not believe what I was hearing in my presence. And I just looked at this woman in the face and says, I'm gay and I'm not going anywhere.
Were the transcripts published in a public forum?
Yes, they were on the internet. They're out there now. If you go to the American Foundation for Equal Rights website,
AFER.org.
And it wasn't
all
like
thousands of
the New York Times. Was it any big?
Oh yeah, I mean excerpts were definitely taken out. You know, I mean they're free information.
Yep. Yeah, and Judge Walker took a long time to rule, and it was like a 146-page ruling, and he was meticulous in his ruling, so that as it passed down to the next chain, they would have very few holes that they could poke in. So, yes, up there at the top.
Yeah, I was just wondering, going back to the preaching to the choir and also to the publication idea, is there a movement to, because the thing is, like, a play is great, but it's hard to get a lot of people in the theater to watch it. You can only drag some of your friends to see a show.
So you guys rock. Look at
But is there a movement, because no one likes to read court cases unless you're a crazy lawyer. So is there any movement to spread Dustin Lance Black's play and to get people to read it and to spread that publication.
Very good news for you right here.
You know what? There's really good news. So this play, I don't know if you know this, we did a reading of it in Los Angeles with some
Rory
very famous Rory O'Malley. And it's available on YouTube. George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Martin Sheen, the ghost of Christmas Past. Everyone is a mother's in this thing, and it's on YouTube. And what you can do in the audience, like walking home tonight, think of 10 people that you want to educate about this issue. You can send them the link. It's on afer.org/live. It's in the program. Send them the link. If they're not near a reading, they can watch that, you know, in the privacy of their own laptop at a Starbucks.
I live in New York, and when I saw these guys come together for Broadway Impact, I was like, oh my God, and like all of us too, there's that thing, what can you do? What can you do? And I'm an active voting gay man, and I was like, I'm angry about what's angry, and then it would stop there. Like it would kind of stop. And so, what was so amazing about Broadway Impact of kind of forcing the conversation, it began to push through. It pushed through some of those fears we have about having the conversation because we kind of get insulated in our community or bubbles, certainly I speak for myself at times, and the choir wasn't singing. And I remember very specifically in New York before they voted, you know, it was the countdown, I was on the marriage, and Jenny gets me on the phone, she's like, come to the phone bank. So I'm like, I'm scared. And I was scared, and she was like, come do it, they will talk you through it, and I was shitting myself, I was scared. I was so scared to break through and talk, and literally they're like, get in here, we had the training thing, they had it all set up, the computer, and it moved through, and I was scared the whole time, and less scared, and pushed through fear, and made calls that I believe, and talked to people. Some people hung up on me, and some people, I changed their mind, and some people already agreed, but I was having a conversation with other American citizens about real things, and to me, what this is about, and what tonight is about, is inspiring you guys to push through fear, and push through that kind of thing that keeps you quiet, because the other side's not quiet. The other side's very vocal, and we're too smart and too organized to ignore that. And for me, it's about pushing through that fear of what are those next steps. And we joke about, like, make a sensible dip, but make a dip and show this, and have a conversation with your friends. Call your families who live outside of metropolitan